Do you remember the last time you were in class or at a meeting and your turn to speak finally came around? You'd practiced exactly what you wanted to say. Maybe you even rehearsed it in your mind over and over, down to the way you'd phrase every word. But as soon as you opened your mouth, everything changed. Your tongue tangled. Your words got stuck. Maybe you repeated yourself or your voice sounded different. Suddenly, all eyes were on you, and your heart just sank. Sound familiar? If so, you're not alone. Before we get started, if growing, learning, and understanding the world in deeper ways is important to you, make sure to subscribe to the Growth Mindset Project and hit the bell icon so you never miss another video. Let's get something straight. Almost all of us have fumbled over our words at one point or another. Sometimes we mispronounce things, we get tongue-tied, our voices shake, or we say 100 times. For most people, moments like these fade quickly. They're just minor blips. But imagine if speaking clearly wasn't just a fleeting awkward moment. It was a daily challenge, one that could impact everything from your self-confidence to your relationships, and even your career. That's what it's like for people dealing with a speech impediment. A speech impediment isn't just talking funny, it's an ongoing disruption of the flow, rhythm, or clarity of speech. These are real, life-shaping challenges that can make navigating the world a lot more complex. You might not realize just how common these struggles are. Millions of people deal with a speech impediment in some form. Today, the Growth Mindset Project is breaking down 6 of the most fascinating and sometimes misunderstood speech problems, so you can better understand, empathize, and support those living with them. Hold on to your seat. Number 4 is especially eye-opening. The first speech impediment on our list is perhaps the most recognized: stuttering. Officially called childhood onset fluency disorder, stuttering is when someone's speech gets interrupted by frequent repetitions, like saying "bubba ball," or prolongations like sunshine. Sometimes a person will get stuck, unable to push out the next syllable, or they'll fill the space with unintended words such as or Now, let's clear up a major myth. Stuttering isn't caused by being shy or nervous, and it's definitely not a sign of low intelligence. The real story? Stuttering is neurological. Scientists believe it's tied to how the brain coordinates the incredibly fine-tuned process of speech. Genetics can play a huge role. If you have a close relative who stutters, you're up to 3 times more likely to stutter yourself. Brain scans reveal subtle differences in areas of the brain that govern timing and coordination. Though researchers still don't fully know why stuttering happens, stress can make it more noticeable, but isn't the root cause. Moving on to number 2. Lisp, a speech sound disorder. This is another speech impediment you might be familiar with. A lisp usually involves the tongue not placing itself quite properly, causing people to pronounce S as thath, so sunshine becomes thunshine. While the classic S lisp is the most well-known, people can also have trouble with sounds like Z, eshesh, or cheech. Many children have lisps that fade with time, but for some, the lisp sticks around into adulthood. For some, it might seem endearing or unique, but for others, especially those who were teased as kids, it can impact self-esteem and make them feel self-conscious about speaking. Fortunately, speech therapy can help at any age, and plenty of adults with lisps go on to succeed in careers that involve lots of talking, from teaching to acting, even broadcasting. Our third speech impediment is less talked about, but incredibly interesting: apraxia of speech, or AOS for short. This is a motor speech disorder. What does that mean? The muscles in your mouth are perfectly fine, but the brain doesn't send the right signals needed to coordinate speech. This makes a person's speech unpredictable. 1 minute sounds are clear, the next they're jumbled or inconsistent. Stress comes in all the wrong places, or the timing feels off, almost robotic. The underlying cause of apraxia is a bit of a mystery. In children, scientists think it could be connected to subtle brain differences or genetic factors. For adults, it's usually a result of things like strokes or head injuries that damage specific parts of the brain that control speech planning. Before we go deeper, if you're learning something new or seeing speech in a new light, hit that like button and let us know in the comments if you or someone you know relates to these experiences and how you navigate them. Now, number 4 is truly astounding: aphasia. Picture this. You know exactly what you want to say, but the words just aren't there. Aphasia isn't a problem with speech muscles like apraxia. It's a loss of access to language itself, often after a stroke or traumatic brain injury. It can also be triggered by brain tumors, neurological diseases, infections, or degenerative conditions like dementia. Aphasia can be as mild as occasionally struggling to find the right word, or as severe as losing the ability to read, write, or speak at all. And here's the crucial part: aphasia doesn't affect intelligence. All the thoughts and ideas are still intact. It's just the words that are trapped, locked away behind a barrier that won't budge. Discovering the extent that language is part of you and then losing your ability to express it can be a deeply emotional journey. Let's switch gears to our 5th entry: cluttering. If you've ever tried to speed read out loud and found your brain racing ahead of your mouth, you have a sense for what cluttering feels like. This speech impediment makes a person's speech fast, disorganized, and difficult for listeners to follow. Syllables drop out, sentences tumble over each other, and words seem to blur together. Unlike stuttering, which is about getting stuck, cluttering is about the words coming out too fast and unclear. Interestingly, many people who clutter don't realize their speech is hard to understand. They just know they think really fast and talk fast too. It's a disconnect between thought and expression, and it can make social situations tricky. If you're finding this breakdown helpful, remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Your interactions help more people find these important topics and build our community of growth-minded learners. Now, for number 6, something you might have experienced if you've ever had your mouth numbed at the dentist: dysarthria. This speech impediment is all about the muscles. With dysarthria, the muscles responsible for speech, the lips, tongue, vocal folds, even the diaphragm, become weak or damaged. The result? Speech that's slow, slurred, or mumbled, sometimes barely understandable. Dysarthria is closely linked to medical conditions such as Parkinson's disease, cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, as well as strokes, head trauma, or even overconsumption of alcohol. In these cases, the brain is trying to send the right messages, but the muscles can't keep up. Despite sounding impaired, the person's mind is usually just as sharp and clear as ever. Life with a speech impediment isn't defined by struggle. It's defined by resilience, creativity, and grit. People who face these challenges every day learn a kind of patience and resourcefulness most of us would do well to emulate. Each voice, however it sounds, is unique and valuable. If you ever find yourself across from someone who speaks a little differently, maybe they stutter, lisp, or speak with unfamiliar rhythms, remember, give them space to finish, listen to their words, and focus on the message, not the delivery. Great conversations are about connection, not perfection. Thanks for joining us for a closer look at these 6 speech problems. For more mind-expanding content on growth, communication, and the human experience, watch our next videos. And don't forget to tap the bell so you're always first to know. See you next time at the Growth Mindset Project.